Gang, gang, gang.
What's up?
It's already
What
up.
it do?
Already know what time it is. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? As long as I can still call you that.
Always gotta start it off shooting for the stars, you know.
Hey man,
Always,
hey,
always.
man. There will only be a matter of time where calling ladies and gentlemen might be outlawed. But anyway,
Nah, man. Mm-mm.
welcome up to it, down to it. Another episode. Here we are, Wednesday night. Welcome everybody. We're gonna get to some quick introductions. I am Trey, the great and terrible. Y'all already know what time it is. We about to get into a lot of good stuff today. Before we get into that, to my left, did I do it right this time? To my left, there we go.
That's it.
My guy, the immovable force, Kev. Talk to us.
What it do, baby? Glad to be here. It's getting real ethnic out in these streets. We keeping it simple tonight. We got a little, and y'all see the bottles empty because we've been up to it in it. But regular captain for rum and cokes and private stock when we up to it. So it's a rum kind of night for us.
That's what it is, man. You can never go wrong with a rum night.
Just can't. You can't.
Just ever, never. All right, bet that. Caddy Corner, here we go. King Rich, talk to me.
Yo, what's good? What's going on, everybody, man? I'm fine like wine, and I hope you all are too, man. So welcome. Man, there's a quote that's been in my mind, and I heard it somewhere. I can't pinpoint it right now, but it goes like this. It says, while others look to take, a true king looks to give back. So hopefully that's what we plan to do now, is to give y'all something that, it's a different perspective, give y'all something back. So hope y'all enjoy.
You feeling real philosophical this evening. Okay. All right. I like it.
Way to go, Yoda.
All right, cool. And right below, down bottom, Kamikaze. Q, talk to me.
What it is. What's good, y'all? Hoping everybody's great. I'm feeling good and relaxed right now. Ready to get into some topics, connect with y'all, see what's good, and relax on my choice of poison right now, which is some Irish coffee.
Irish coffee. Okay.
Getting up and getting down.
Yeah, all at the same time. I'm doing the same thing. I got something mean and green in the bottle, and I got something mean and green rolled up. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah. And of course, I'm just finishing off a nice little bottle over here. It was chilled in the fridge, so I had to finish that bad boy off. That's that Bel Air.
Okay. Oh, we're gonna have a nice little evening. I'm excited, man. Looking forward to it. Before we get into our first topic, man, I want to bring up our special guest for the evening. He's going to be spending a little bit of time with us. So without further ado, here we go.
What's going on?
Hey,
I'm ready.
What? Hold on, let me finish my credit. Okay, I'm done.
Listen,
I feel like I need sound effects.
Tell us about that music,
I appreciate it, man. I got my glasses on. These are this is not prescription at all. I just looked them on today. So I'm trying to carry on my Kevin Sanders tip.
Yes, sir. Steve, it's good to have you on, man.
I appreciate it, man.
I'm really jealous about that music, though.
Hey, man, this track's all over the place, man. I just kind of find them, and sometimes they fit, and sometimes they hit, and this was one of them. So
I appreciate the intro, man. Glad to be here, man. Glad to join in on the conversation with you guys, man. It's a great show. Great topics always. Just love to chime in and give my input, man, with what you guys already have going. To be honest.
Good
What
stuff,
you got in
man.
your cup?
Yeah.
What you gonna say?
It's a new thing called it's 10 Cup. It's a whiskey from Colorado. It's apparently on the bottle they have etched cut with Rocky Mountain water. So I guess that means something out here. So it's pretty good, actually. It's pretty good.
Smooth.
Nice.
All right, cool. Well, we're gonna get into something simple real quick. I know this is a forte for you, Steve, and Kev, you as well. We're gonna talk a little bit about the NBA and what's going on. How this is a pretty exciting time of the year right now. Got conference final season, so let's get into it. Everybody, get your glasses ready. We're about to get into some NBA talk. Let's go. Bad. Let's get it.
All right. So, well, tonight is the Western Conference Finals Game 1. You got the Warriors taking on the Mavs. Completely different shows. The Mavs basketball has seemingly always been about Luka Doncic, but he spent some games out early because of injury. So we had some people stepping up in his absence. Spencer Dinwiddie, who they traded for right at the trade deadline. It's escaping my mind. Steve, who's Jalen Brunson?
Brunson.
Yeah, been big money for them in Luka's absence. So they've both been kind of stepping up, even now that he's returned. The Warriors are actually up 54-45 at the half right now. Yep. They're playing in the Bay Area, so it always gets rowdy out there. That one's going to be a hell of a series. I expect it to be 4-2 Warriors when it's all said and done. And then for the Eastern Conference, we saw game 1 last night. Boston actually won 3 out of the 4 quarters, but still managed to lose the game to the Miami. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little biased because the Miami Heat is my team. So, they put the clamps on defensively, turned it up offensively, and 1 quarter was really all they needed to pull that one out. So I expect that game to go 7, but I really do want to see the Heat pull it out. Jimmy Butler's been different in the playoffs. So it's going to be a sight to behold.
Oh yeah.
So just to recap real quick. So you got the Heat in 7. Is that what you said?
You got the Heat in 7
and Warriors in 6. Okay.
So I want to say this, and this is me kind of bragging a little bit. Y'all know me for a long time. My favorite team's gonna make the finals, no matter who wins in the West. I gotta say, because a lot of people don't know me, right? Like, those are 2 of my favorite teams, right? I only have 2 favorite teams in the NBA, one in the NFL, as you can see in the background. But I'm just happy, man, for the series.
We won't hold that against them.
Hold it against me. Hey, I'm a loyal guy. I'm a loyal guy, man. Win or lose, So yeah, I'm just happy that these 2 teams are in the conference finals, man. I'm good. I'm good regardless.
So who you got in the West, Steve?
I think Golden State's a better team. I mean, the bench surpasses Dallas's. Grew up a Dallas Mavericks fan. When the Warriors drafted Curry in 2009, became a Warriors fan because he's my favorite player. But the Warriors are just a better team, to be honest. So
I agree. You got Warriors in 6 too?
Yeah, 6 or less, to be honest, man.
Listen,
to be real.
And it could be less. But
it could be less. It could be less.
I want to see a lot of basketball.
King Rich, what you think?
Man, I was just saying, I got the Warriors in 5, man. I would like to see the Celtics and the Heat go to a game 7, though. I would like to see that. And I got to go with the Heat, man. The Heat in 7.
I ain't got to cuss you out now.
Yeah,
you ain't got to.
You knew it was coming, man. You knew it was coming.
I think that'd be a better series, man. That East is gonna be a better series, I think. I mean, just 2. I mean, in the West is they're good teams, but like the Celtics, if you think of like the legacy, the franchise, folklore, Celtics and Heat, man, is just like that's gonna be an epic
good stuff
series, man. I would like for it to be one.
And 2 years ago in the bubble, they took on each other, so it's
that's right.
A little piece of rivalry going on there. And I mean, this year has, of course, been one for the books as far as the NBA goes, because to start off, they had to replace a lot of players who went into health and safety protocols with G League players, which I actually loved, because you got to see G League players literally step into starting roles fresh out of G League, or big time minutes. And it just goes to show you that there are literally people waiting to get into the NBA who have talent. So I actually believe that the expansion for the league is going to be coming sooner than later. We missed the Seattle Supersonics, so I would love to see the team go back to Seattle, and it's just going to be a matter of figuring out, where they can put another team at. But the expansion's around the corner because talent is a
Yeah.
so NBA is in great shape.
Well, like I know expansion is actually been on the table for a couple of years now, but I'm gonna say this, man. I really appreciate how like all the teams in the conference finals have drafted and have developed pretty well. I mean, there's some free agency signings with like Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, a couple of bench veterans for Dallas, but like for the most part, you're seeing like teams that have drafted folks, develop, went through the grinder, struggle, and now their development team and their coaches and stuff, their front office,
Hitting their stride.
see the fruits of the labor, man. So like all these teams are pretty much, like farm bred systems, man. They draft them, they develop them, some G League stuff, bring them up, give them minutes. Everyone's been getting better, man. This is good basketball. This is what the NBA should be, man.
It's a good time to watch it. Like you said, you got young players starting to step up. You seeing new players step up, new teams step up in the mix. In this Eastern-Western rivalry, and Q, I'm coming to you next. I would love to see both series go to 7. I would love to see it. I agree with y'all. I think Miami and Boston is going to go to 7. I'm also taking the Heat in 7. I earlier said Warriors in 7 initially because Luka and really the whole squad, Luka and Bronson, all them guys, they are playing lights out right now. So my heart wants to say, and Steve, I know you a Dallas fan, so my heart wants to say, it's going to go into 7, but the Warriors are. It's something different about them.
I know what this is about. You remember back in 2011. Remember we watched. You were there, Rich. You were there, and Morgan View.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
We watched the Miami Heat Mavs final. I know what this is about. I know y'all had me on tonight for a reason.
Just a little bit, because you was the only one in there that was like, nah, it's gonna be the Mavs tonight. The whole rest of the room was like,
Jamal was there.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
I think there's still a recording out there floating around.
I have it. Oh, I have it.
Oh man,
you have it on you.
Of course.
I have it.
I was gonna say, I'm sure it's on Facebook somewhere.
That was a good time. Good times.
But yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go Warriors, and I would love to see it go 7, but I think the Warriors are gonna pull it out in 6 for real. I think Dallas is gonna get 2. I think they'll get 2. So, Q, what's your thought, bro?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Only
I mean, look, I zoned out with this coffee for a minute, bro. Forgive me. Look, I ain't into sports, but I got to ride with my team, man. I've been cheering on the Heat. They've been actually turning up and putting on a good game. I got to go for them for the 7 now.
And I'm a chime in. The past couple of years have really given me more respect for Eric Spoelstra as far as his coaching, because of course he got there. LeBron and them came in right away, so it's kind of like, all right, so you could coach, or does he just have a great roster?
Right.
But these past couple of years, even like the bubble, even now, it's like even last year, it's like, all right,
he coaching.
They're developing guys. They have a good front office. He's coaching some basketball. So I will say I am a believer in his coaching now. I will admit I wasn't up front because it was hard for me, as he brought in all the superstars, but yeah, he's legit. I will say that.
They almost Spoelstra almost lost me with that thing with Jimmy Butler. Was it a month or so ago?
Oh, the little spat on the sideline.
Yeah,
Udonis has them and all that. But I mean, listen, and it's crazy enough. This is WNBA, but I want to say it's the Phoenix Mercury. They had a little like issue on the sideline last night. With Diana Taurasi,
Skylar Diggins.
Diggins Smith, they're the best players on their team. Diana Taurasi, people look at her as the go to the WNBA, and I mean they got into it on the sideline, had to be separated. My thought and belief is like, if everything is all chummy, buddy, you're not really like fighting to win. You know what I'm saying? We gonna argue sometimes. We not gonna see eye to eye sometimes. It's gonna get heated. It's gonna get passionate. you know, especially because WNBA season is so short and you expecting like you got to get on the ball right away. So when it's not looking right, you're going to get a bit of that. But, you know, I think that also, you know, can be healthy. It doesn't need to be happening all the time, but it don't hurt to, you know, like be checking your brothers and getting passionate, or checking your sisters in their case and getting passionate, you know, for the sake of the greater good.
Yeah.
Man, I remember Michael Jordan used to fight in practice with players.
Yeah, he popped
like physically, like punch people in the face.
Tony Kukoc, he popped.
Yep. Hey man,
I mean, he just popped bro across the face. Say, hey man, you're not playing the way I need you to play. Matt.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a curveball at y'all because it ain't got it's NBA, but it ain't really got nothing to do. The internet is chopping Bronny James up because he took a prom date and she a white girl. The internet is having a field day.
You starting early. See,
I know this wasn't even a program, but I figured since we here, you know.
So they're going in on Bronny for taking a white girl to the prom.
Yeah.
So what are we like? I see, like, not? Are we not allowed to take white girls to the prom? Like,
listen, you know what it is, because of course LeBron is like the blackest person we know. You know, black athlete, married his black woman. You know, that he had that black kid with, or black kids with. You know, so of course Bronny Jr. is supposed to literally do everything the exact same way. So yeah, you know, I don't know why we're judging children's lives to begin with, but you know, here we are. Here we are.
Well, we're doing a lot of things with children's lives nowadays. We'll get into that later.
Like, it's prom. Like, people literally go with their friends. Like, I imagine if all of us were 20 years younger than math, 19 years younger.
Damn.
And man, we would probably all roll a prom together just to hang out.
Yeah.
So coming with a white girl, that could be cool. I'm sure I know he has black female friends. This shouldn't be a thing. It really shouldn't even be a thing, you know, in my opinion.
Adults are the worst.
Seriously.
And then you have those trolls out there. So, you know, that I'm hoping that's just what that is. Somebody just looking for some, you know, 5 minutes of fame or something, because that just doesn't make any sense. Man.
Yeah.
Somebody just rolling their feet into the cancel culture.
You know, I gotta say it. I gotta say it. There's frustration about him bringing a white girl to prom, but with what's Dwayne Wade's son? I'm stopping.
We shoot for cancellation. So
I'm gonna chill out, man.
We shooting for cancellation every week.
I'm surprised
we made it. Oh, okay. The backlash is bigger with Bronny versus. Hey,
man. You know, at least what Bronny's doing is reversible. All right, anyway, he incorrect. All right, anyway. He don't have to stay. Anyway,
with what Bronny, ain't nothing wrong with. Never mind. All right.
What's next?
No. Let's just say it, man. There's nothing wrong with what Bronny did.
Nothing
wrong with that.
No, literally.
What do you want, man?
He's actually being condemned for doing the correct thing, whereas the Wade's boy. All right, next topic.
All right. Yeah.
Because we
might circle back around to that.
I like this podcast. It's gonna be
all right. Dead. We done with we done with the NBA. We gonna be back to
some things, you know, are supposed to happen. Or never mind. All right.
Oh man.
Get glass number 2 ready, y'all. Hey, all right, we moving.
I already had a pour. I was waiting for you. I don't be that guy that
I was going to say organically.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm with y'all. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next topic. Let's get your glasses ready. Let's get to it. There it is.
Speaking of organically, honey pot.
Yo, this little shot glass came with this whiskey. Like when I bought it, like the tin cup goes on top of the top of this. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
It's like a mini keg.
Built-in shot. That's
yeah. Oh, okay. Got more.
That's real fancy.
I'm digging that. What'd you say that was called again? That was the Irish whiskey, right?
It's called Tin Cup. It's a mountain whiskey. In here in the Mountain West.
I didn't even know mountain whiskey was a thing.
Me either until today.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send me a picture of that. You know, we connoisseuring out here. You know.
Yeah.
For sure. We need to talk about that.
We should do. Well, you guys should maybe do cologne reviews too, man. Cologne reviews would be good.
But that means you got to have a woman on your neck sniffing you. You know. And then at that point, are we starting the OnlyFans?
Now we getting into more.
I think this is public, so I'm gonna just say
that's profitable.
We'll speak in Marco Polo about what just my opinion is for your podcast. That's all. That's all I'm
saying. Say less. We'll get into it. I do wanna throw this up here real quick. This was good. Like, how many black girls are in his sphere?
Are even in his sphere? Oh well, yeah, because now you're talking about the
Bronny,
the pool of which he gets to swim in, right?
I mean,
that are in his pond.
Yeah, realistically, it's probably the minority, just because he's at a private school. Very wealthy, so it's probably a minority. I wouldn't say it's non-existent, but it's definitely a minority.
So I'm gonna give an opinion. I live here in Iowa. For folks who don't know, I live here in Ankeny, Iowa, a suburb of Des Moines. I have two stepdaughters that live here, and my oldest, she's a cheerleader. So we talk about she's the only black cheerleader on the squad, and there are other black kids in the school. But like, as far as dating, I can see Bronny there. I'm sure at Sierra Canyon, it's a tuition-based school. It costs a lot. I know there are black girls there, but you have to look at as far as the dynamic of who's approaching you, right? Because all the guys in here, like, if someone approaches us, we'll give them attention, right? Because they're talking to us, we're going to be polite, we're going to respond back and all that stuff. So it's really a numbers game. So it's like, okay, if 3 black girls approach me versus 30 other nationalities, it's like, what are the odds? Right. But with Bronny, she could be a friend, so what are the odds of him having more non-black friends than black friends? It's probably pretty high, and especially given his dad's status. So that's just my opinion.
It's not inaccurate. Right. Again, like, for everybody, you're going to take on what you're exposed to. So like for me, I went to predominantly black schools my entire life. So a white woman or white girl or any other for what it's worth, had a few Hispanic girls, that were in my classes. At one point, an Indian girl, somebody from Pakistan, but it was literally rare that you had that in your class. It was black all over the place. So, if I'm only around black people, chances are I'm going to date black people. You put me in a different environment, now we're exposing ourselves to the environment. So like we said, I don't see the issue. Friend or more, I don't see the issue.
I think I completely agree with y'all, and it's. I think a lot of the people that are going in on them are probably people that also don't have a lot of white people in their sphere. Someone that grows up in a more mixed environment is, doesn't look at it as, oh, some white girl. It's just another girl, like, to y'all's point. So, anyway, to move on. We did want to see him with a Chloe or a Haley. All right. Real talk. Want to see him with a Chloe or a Haley. Real talk. All right. Kev, talk to me about this honeypot code. You mentioned this a little bit.
All right. So I love when we, hit the women's topics as all men, but Al Gore's internet is up in arms because honeypot changed its label, changed some of its ingredients. So and you know how the girls love to tussle. So they are mad that it seems like Honey Pot is not organic anymore. And after, you know, the good Twitters went up in arms, and, you know, it had to be Black Twitter. Honey Pot responded and said, you know, like we're still organic. Y'all got to chill. So I did get a chance to see basically a cosmetic chemist who broke down the ingredient changes and more or less attributed it, like a lot of the changes, to the fact that we've been in a pandemic, and we know in a pandemic, like a lot of things have been harder to access, which is why the price of things are going up, you know, supply and demand. And so, you know, in order to preserve the shelf life of Honey Pot products, in order to be able to produce them, you know, some ingredients had to be changed, but they're still using ingredients that are, or I believe the word is organic derived, as opposed to like 100% organic. And so some of the terminology changed with the labels. And of course, people are blaming it on a combination of the owner selling Honey Pot and, you know, selling out and all. They're just calling it everything but what it is. And it's just, you know, like life changes have affected everybody at every level. So the girls are up in arms, and I'm you know, I completely understand, because like I'm a fan of organic products for women, especially, you know, if you're putting it in places that need to be protected, like you should be using things that are non-toxic, non-chemical, because toxic shock is realistic for women and girls. So even in my classroom, I keep only organic products for my female students. So I know how important that is, but it's one of them cases where, you know, we took a headline and ran with it. People got to read the instructions. They got to, you know, read the labels and do a little bit more research, instead of just biting what one person says and taking that for Bible.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we've said it before. It's like people need to go ahead and, you know, fact check and stop just jumping on that, you know, bandwagon of, yeah, let's go get them. Yeah. You know, and jumping on that bandwagon of just tearing the whole company down, and you're not basing your information off of facts, right? I mean, yes, does this bottle have a certain ingredients and then this bottle have different ingredients? Yes, it does. But is that necessarily, you know, a 100% bad thing, right? And you know, the owner, I found an article where the owner actually came out, you know, made a statement assuring the customers that, you know, the washes are still pH balanced. They're dermatologist tested, they're hypoallergenic, they're you know, safe for the skin. They haven't had any added parabens or dioxides or sulfates, and you know, so to, you know, again, people need to do their research. You know, just do your research. Don't just jump on the bandwagon. Because that's detrimental. And people got to understand that it's also a business, you know. At the end of the day, it's also a business. So they're gonna do, you know, what's in the best interest of, you know, the consumer and the business. Because if the business can't stay afloat, then there will be no products for the consumer.
Absolutely, I agree with it.
Go ahead, Q. You got some more to say about that?
And just like Beatrice said, like ultimately her goal was to sell off the business, like make the business, build it, and sell it to get out of her debt. Also, you have to understand on both spectrums. You said, yes, it is a business. With the pandemic, things might have changed a little bit. You have to make that smart move. But also from a consumer's end, I can see how everybody's getting concerned, because this is almost like the repeat of what happened with Shea Moisture. You know, everybody loved Shea Moisture when it first came. And as soon as it came, they're like, wait a minute, is Beatrice about to go down the same path that they did? I'm a little worried. So I can understand on both sides of the spectrum, like why everybody's concerned. But I don't feel like Beatrice made a move that's going to put anybody in danger or jeopardize their natural lifestyle. That's just my opinion.
I agree. They have every right to be concerned, you know, every right. But with that concern, go ahead. That should concern you enough to go ahead and do that research.
And and like, you know, like Slutty Vegan based in Atlanta, I think she just got Series A funding or something. So I think her company's valued at like $100 or $200 million.
Wow.
I'm like, shoot, because I'm like, I mean, my personal thing is, okay, I'm working with some apps and stuff. My goal is to start an app, whatever, sell it, for an amount. Now I know everyone else's, goal. I know her goal, whatever the case may be, but like, if you have a vegan company, like, what's your goal? Like, Twitter just sold, right? The goal is to sell if you're successful. At some point, you gotta sell at some point.
Yeah, if it's
like
a good
passion
business, somebody's going to be interested in buying it.
Yeah, you gotta sell at some point, so you get offers, you sell it. So I'm like, shoot, Slutty Vegan, you had 200. I know you get offers. I know your value will grow. I'm like, yeah, you gotta sell when you get to that point. There's not gonna be $1 billion. Well, I won't say it won't be one, but like, she's in the right place to sell and be good, to do other things, get an LLC, to do some, whatever she wants to do. So it's all about the business as far as like capitalizing off of your initial dream goal and profiting off of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Let me get some of these comments real quick. Let's take a look here. All right, so there's a site apparently that you can look up how many chemicals are in the products, and their products went from 100% organic down to about 21% organic. So if that's true, that's a pretty big drop. That's a significant difference, I think. I think what was the phrase you used, Kev? It was organically derived.
Yeah.
So,
and for that comment, I did see something like there are some disputes, I think, and that's the part that Honeypot responded to and said there are disputes about like the something about those numbers, and like the site to check products is being disputed, which I also think has a lot to do with like US versus basically everything outside the US. And it may be like the UK or something like that, where the like ingredient list of what's considered what is a lot more, I'll call it clean, than the US. Like y'all already know how we get down in the good old third world United States. We just basically allow for whatever. Whereas other areas and territories, in order for you to be considered organic, you got to be like above board. And we
so basically, you're saying our standards are low. Our standards of what's organic is too low.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So basically, 100% organic in America is only 21% organic in the rest of the world. What you're saying?
For what it's worth, yeah, 100% on the outside of the country is probably like 97%. Our 100% is like negative 100%.
It's not good. We're going the way of the dollar. We're going the way of the US dollar.
Been there.
Oh boy, here we go. Okay, all right, let's get to this next one. Honeypot blew up off of black women on social media, so folks expect that same transparency that built the brand. She said they didn't sell. Well, I mean, I don't know if she said they didn't sell. I don't know that deep into it, but again, it's her business. And would you not sell the company? Somebody comes to offer you, $500 million in real life. I mean, I gotta imagine most people would say that. Would take that. I don't know what she sold it for. Guess we can find that out too.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm sure she didn't sell it for a cake and a song. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure there was huge sums of legitimate money involved here, and if that's the case, I don't see any reason not to sell. Why not?
I think I want to highlight how hard it is to have a successful company. Like, it's hard to start a business, to get revenue, and to have people want to buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's hard. Like, the hardest business to have is in the restaurant and the retail industry. Not financial, not IT, not medical, not whatever. It's hard to have a business where you sell stuff. So I think the fact that she had a business, made revenue, created value, had a niche, and then people wanted to buy it, you have to sell, because You can have a bad year next fiscal year, and you could tank and lose all of your initial investment. You lose money from your investors if you had them. Like, yo, if people want to buy it, sell that joint. Sell it. Sell it.
Just to answer on that comment, so according to Yahoo Finance, she did get on yesterday to address it because she's been catching a lot of speculation on social media about her actually selling the company. She hasn't sold.
So I do have it just came to my phone. Thank you, Rashada. Her posts from Instagram. Well, just the honeypot. I am the CEO. I am a CEO, Chief Innovation Officer and founder, but I'm also human. My team and I hear you, and it's our priority to show up and create a space of trust and transparency. Let me set some things straight. We have not sold. The wash formulation has evolved for good reason. We have and always will serve humans with vaginas best, full stop. Thank you for your grace and patience as I address this matter. Please email me directly. I'm here for any questions, comments, concerns, and to provide any additional information, and gave her personal IG handle to, pull up at her doorstep. So, I mean, I don't know. And again, we don't see everything. So I'm it feels defensive to me to hear and see it like that. But also I feel like at that point you have to be defensive for what you're being accused of.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, what I say is if she hasn't sold the company, that's cool. I had just came across that same article, so apparently she hasn't actually sold it. There was one section I wanted to pull up real quick. Hold on.
While you find it, the transparency part. So I do think that there can always be transparency, especially with sensitive products. I just wonder, and again, because our good America loves drama more than we love honesty and compassion and all that. Was there a point where the company discussed changes and people just didn't pay attention because that was the good and right and moral thing to do? And then when somebody discovered it and brought it up in a drama-filled way, then it got legs and began to run. That's the only thing I wonder about. And again, because I don't use the product, I don't follow them that closely, but I'm wondering, did we run into that kind of scenario where there was an announcement or a discussion of changes and it just didn't get pressed because that's proactive?
That's actually a good question.
Good question.
Very good question. Yeah. I'm watching, as I watch the basketball game now, I want to just share this. Like Mark Cuban, his story originally, he started a software company. He sold it for $300 million or $4. From doing that, he bought the Mavericks off of that deal. Right? Now, it's easy to say, okay, if he would have held tight, he could have sold it for more, but it could have went down, it could have crashed. So it's and this is not a honeypot thing, but I think some people that have companies are a little over ambitious, a little greedy as far as have to offer, I could sell it for more, but they miss out on the deal. Stuff could tank, and they don't, capitalize off of the deal. In my opinion,
pandemic could happen. Anything could happen to take your business.
Yeah, out. I'm like if it's there, my thing is do it.
So now I'm wondering, because I got to look into it some more, right? Because now I'm wondering, because of the pandemic, right? I mean, delivery services skyrocketed, right? Mm-hmm. As we know it now, even, gas prices are up high, right? So I need to dig into it some more, but now I'm wondering, well, did these new people that came on board, right? Are they investors, right? Did they put in some money because she was losing so much money, right? And now you have to now take, a organic material over here and an organic material over here, but you're genetically modifying it, right? So it's derived, right? And so now these are basically the trial periods. I hate to say it that way, right? But you know, I don't know. I just wonder if they had enough time to, you know, really go through and see if these products, you know, were that effective, or if they just, you know, threw it out there because they're just trying to keep the business afloat. Man, I think I'm gonna look more into that.
Multi-layered with these questions. It's a lot of good stuff with this. Q, you was about to say something?
Yeah, I was saying I would want to look into it too because my thing is it could have been a matter of cost effectiveness, and the new investors wanted to know what would be the best possible way to get the exact same result for the least amount of money. So it's very intriguing to try to look into. I want to look into it myself too, bro.
A couple of things out the comment section. You know, a couple of schools of thoughts, right? So a person who's selling natural organic products says they wouldn't sell, and so she can keep the integrity of the products. You know, and I completely understand that. You know, some people are like,
Yeah.
no, absolutely not. This is the type of product we sell, and anybody, if I sell it to somebody else, they may not do it that way. The reality is, LB, I got you. I know where you're going with this one. I think that may not be the most lucrative way to handle it. That may not be the most business savvy way to do it. These are, I think of, you know, hardware stores, other such mom and pop stores, over the years that ended up, you know, not changing their business model and ended up having to fold as a result, or didn't sell back when they could have and ended up folding as a result. So that's a different school different school of thought for sure. I get it from an integrity perspective. You don't want to change nothing up. I'm with that. I don't know if I would do that. I think at a point, probably, especially if I could sell it for 10 and 15 and 20, 30 times more than I'm likely to make. I mean, that's why I would do that from a business perspective. Go ahead, Steve.
So the Uber founder had a company, sold it for $25 million. Show on Netflix. From that, he's able to fund Uber. Co-founder of Facebook, did Napster, right? Sold it for a number. So it's like, I get the integrity, but if someone, because if you're that creative a founder, you usually have plenty of ideas that you want to do eventually, right, in your life. And it's like if someone offer you, like, if someone has the machine behind you, the funding, the experience to give you 30 mil for your company, it's like, it's hard to say no to that, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they say, hey Trey, I want 30 mil for whatever. It's like, me, I won't say no personally. I'm like, all right, I got other ideas, you know what I'm saying? You know, so I don't know. It's hard. I know there are like pet baby projects, but it's also like, yo, money talks, man. So I'm like, shoot, you can put for life and fund several other projects you want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's more so along the lines of where I was going. It's very much commendable to stick to your guns, absolutely. But I think at a point you have to consider, you know, are you reasonably gonna ever make that amount of money? Not selling.
I have a mortgage still. Like, I want to take care of that and the kids. I'm like, and then still fund a whole new project and then still do whatever I want. Just like those, man, what they offer people now is just, it's a lot, man. I'm like, shoot, I'll don't ask me, I'll take it, man.
Yeah, different perspective for sure. Different perspective. So, yeah, hey, look, you know, good luck to Honeypot Co. I've heard good things about them, and you know, Steve, not Steve, Kev, you were talking about keeping some of the products, like, you know, for some of your students and stuff like that. So it's something you believe in for sure. I hope they do well. You know, whatever they do, if they do end up selling it for hundreds of millions of dollars, round of applause from me. You know, if they keep it, maintain integrity, cool. That's cool too.
I know for me, you know, I'm gonna go stop past Sunflower Essentials.
Hey-o!
Shameless plug.
Yes, sir.
It's in my bedroom, in my bathroom. It's everywhere.
Real talk. It's good stuff too. And we believe in that for real. Put that in the comments so we can put it up here. and be archived
Drop
on
it.
YouTube forever.
You know. All right, what we got next?
Well, we about to change the game and change the pace just a little bit. Just a little bit. We had some sobering things happen actually over the weekend. We had a shooting in okay, I'm still on. Okay. We had a shooting in California at a church. I'm not sure if y'all heard about that. But we also had what has been labeled a heinous, very much racist attack in Buffalo, New York, also over the weekend. So that's the next topic at hand. Gentlemen, are we up to it?
Say less.
Glasses in the air. Let's do it. Okay. Rich, you had you mentioned this one to me before. What you got on this one?
Yeah, man. So let me just give the layout as I read it. They in Buffalo, New York, there was a guy that was casing out a supermarket. He actually had found some evidence that shows that he was there multiple times before the incident, and they also found some literal writings and whatnot that was posted, and so this was a pre-planned event. This was definitely a hate crime. I would even call it a terrorist attack. Homegrown. This guy went up to the case. He cased the place out, and then decided he even wore a GoPro or whatever it was, right? He even recorded all of this, right? I didn't even look for the footage. I don't even want to see the footage, right? I did happen to scroll past one on social media that just showed he even, as he was going around the supermarket, shooting up, targeting black people. He even got to one person. It was a white guy on the ground, right? And the white guy's afraid for his life, and the guy and then the shooter, you can see him. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologizes for pointing the gun at him. So this is definitely a racially motivated event. I believe it was 10 killed, with one still in the hospital. The question is always why, right? And what's breeding this hate, man? Why does it continue to be so much hatred for the black community, and not enough, in my opinion, not enough being done, to curb this hate, to put a stop to it, right? Because if it was the other way around, right? If you look at, what was the black nationalists, when they were looking for the 6 adult, they were looking for the individuals, the leaders of that group, right? Police came in, bombed a house with 6 adults. I think it was 6 adults and 9 children in it. Like, yeah. I mean, if that didn't send it, because after that bombing on that house, that took out the rest of that neighborhood, that black community. I'm pretty sure they may have been, other nationalities there, but it was predominantly black. And, the force, that's used towards, the brown skinned people, the people of color, is not the same when it comes to, the white males, or the white offenders, the people that are committing horrendous crimes. I mean, it just seems, and the media puts it out there, right? The media portrays it that, you know, they always get apprehended. And sometimes I'm just like, well, what was it, right? What was he still shooting around when you got there and you said, hey, police, you know, and you gave him the opportunity to surrender? You know, I'm wondering, how is it that, you know, you got an armed you know, terrorist walking around shooting up the place, and I mean, he gets apprehended just also eloquently, you know. Maybe it wasn't the case, you know, maybe he surrendered, you know, he, you know, gave up, but I you know, I want to see like the footage of how he was apprehended, you know.
Well, they said he pointed the gun to his own head, and you know, I guess whoever was negotiating with him, whoever it was, convinced him to put the gun down and take off all his armor and, you know, head on out. Yeah, that's the story I got of it. So what I was saying, all right, so let me make sure I got this clear. So on the one hand, we're saying that we don't see the same level of force or aggression with a black assailant versus a white assailant. Is that?
I'm not saying that's the case all the time. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not the case all the time.
It is.
But I am wondering, you know, if there's any inkling of a hint, you know, these, you know, before something happens, people communicate, and I'm not going to say in all cases, right? But they communicate the hate. They communicate what they're about to do. There are signs, there are tells. Not in all cases, right? Not in all cases, but in some cases, right? There are some signs that you see there. One of my questions is, how come the same amount of force, right, isn't used to stop that hate over this clear hate? And it's like, why? Well, who did what to you? Who?
Well, I want to. So I want to chime in and just give my thoughts on it. Like, I think we all know that, like, the justice system, the prison system, they get funding for the amount of inmates they have, right? Like, schools get funding for how many kids they have in the school. Private prisons get funding for how many inmates are there, right? So there's a business to it. There's unfortunately a wicked agenda to it, you know, without getting like kind of too religious, whatever the case may be. But
it is what it is, though.
I think we all believe in Christ and God, and it says in the Bible, you know, that we'll be the most hated people, and I think we see that all over the place, right? Like, for no reason, you know. So, and I think everyone kind of knows who we are, how gifted we are, how talented we are, how proud we can be. Everyone knows that except for us. So I think others are taking advantage of that when it comes to us. So that's all I'll say.
And another thing I wanted to chime in on, especially with everything that happened, I was just reading an article where they interviewed his neighbors, and they said that there was no signs of any hint of hatred with them. But what made me pose a question was, when I read the article explained that he did go to the supermarket, and he did camp out. But what kind of perplexed me was the article said he questioned them as to how many security cameras they had. Why didn't they see that was a red flag? Like, nobody comes in a grocery store and say, hey, can you point me to your dairy section? And by the way, how many cameras do you have in here?
I'm gonna do you one better, Q. He was already being investigated maybe a year before or less for planning a mass shooting. But I understand some negative plans against people that look like us. That's how I'm gonna word it. And Trey and Rich, you know what I'm talking about.
So it's like, how many red flags
Yeah.
do you need before you step in and do something?
Oh, there's some layers to this one. Oh boy. I want to go back real quick. Well, actually, Kev, you haven't said much on this one yet. I expected you to jump in already.
We tired, you know. And I mean, I get it because I've said it before. Like, you know, it'll always be an apples to oranges conversation because we see cases where armed or unarmed black men, black women have been murdered in the process of apprehension or whatever the case may be. And we've seen cases where unarmed and armed white men or women have been apprehended instead of killed. And my first piece out my mouth is, well, it's never the same cop twice. So like we don't have that as comparison, but it's just exhausting to see because it just, again, as the narrative is pushed, it never feels like it's equal. And of course statistics will always be what they are. Like, how we perpetuate that black people are the ones living in Section 8 housing and are on food stamps and receiving government assistance. But if you look at the statistical data, there are more white people receiving food stamps and government assistance than are black people. But of course, it's what we're constantly seeing. So I think that has a large portion to do with us just being tired in general. It just doesn't feel like justice or the right thing or whatever you want to call it is on our side.
All right, fair enough, yo. Before I go to anything real quick, I want to preface this by saying, beware the authors of your condition. All right. So, first off, Kev, you're absolutely right. It's not the same cop twice. There are different situations and different scenarios. For example, this man was apprehended, and the man that the New York City shooter, the black guy, he was also apprehended. You know what I mean? The
Let me chime in right there though, because they had to find him. I'm wondering what the situation would have been like had they got there on scene with his gun in his hand. They had to go find him. It wasn't that they caught him on the scene with the gun in his hand. And that's all I'm saying, right? But go ahead.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different. There's always different scenarios. You know what I mean? And that's why I say beware the author of your conditioning, because we don't statistically, white people are killed by cops more than black people are, specifically since 2015 after all the riots and all the other stuff that happened. And that's the statistical evidence out there that says the opposite. I'm just saying. Then there's what we see. There's what actually happens, and then there's what we see. So beware the author of your condition. Beware the author of your condition. Is a tragedy either way in Buffalo. I personally found it funny that particular shooting got a lot of shine, but again, there was also a church shooting that same weekend over in California.
Yep.
I mentioned that.
Yep.
Very few outlets
heard of.
I saw mention that.
Because what was the demographic?
Right. But that kind of goes to my point, right? What actually happens versus what we're shown. See, the demographic there wasn't politically convenient, let's say. And that's why we didn't hear about it.
So they were minorities.
No. They weren't minorities.
They weren't, but they want to get black people mad. So they want to highlight the killing of black folks to Yeah, I see where you're going with it, Trey.
Dance puppets dance. Dance puppets dance.
Let
Yeah.
me
You know what I'm saying?
let me also ask this, right? Because statistics can be, you can use it to, write any narrative you want, right? We all know that, we're still the minority in this country. So of course, I would think that more white people die, period, than any other race in this country because they are still the majority. So that's just facts. They it's more of them. So of course they just die, period, whether it's by cops or whatever it is, right? And I do agree that they use the media to swing whatever narrative they want to. But at the same time, when it comes to how we are treated, how the system is set up, I still I still see the unfair advantage, and not just in race, but more so in the uh, economic social standard, right? The classes, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what they care about.
Mm-hmm.
Is the rich want to stay rich. So when it comes to those things, sometimes I'm just asking myself, well, what was the demographic as far as, was it a poor person or a middle class person versus how they treat someone of affluence? Do they get more of a pass?
Yeah.
A ton of questions, right?
Like,
I think that all comes down to the individual. And in the end, it's it's almost like saying that cops target black people on purpose is like saying guns kill people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I listen. I don't know.
Guns kill people.
When you have I'll put it to you this way, right? So there is historical data that there's facts. People are still alive, right? Who were bred and they are cops, right? To hate. So you can't say that cops. There aren't any cops that there aren't any cops that don't.
We could literally use that for anything. We could we could use that for anything. Most people wouldn't shoot cops, but then cops get shot every day. Routine traffic stops, they get shots too. I'm just saying, it happens.
But on the other side of that, so even if we take the conversation away from cops, literally statistics show that a black woman who is who has a child is more likely to die, like 3 times more likely to die when handled by a white doctor, white nurse, whatever the case may be. And they're twice as, I think the statistic is twice as likely to live when their doctor is a black doctor. So, there is some and that, that goes back a long way in terms of doctors and hospitals, that there was some belief that black people could tolerate more pain. So we were less likely to be seen, less likely to be treated because we were designed to take less pain. And that hasn't escaped the hospital system yet. So we're still having the issue of black women's care in hospitals, for that very reason. So there's an indoctrination that exists, and people have even complained. You can become a cop faster than you can become a teacher, faster than you can become a lot of things. Cop training is next to nothing. So it's not taking them long before they're thrust into the most intense of situations. Their training is not extensive.
So yep, down to you, Kev, and I agree 100%. I think you meant to say where we've been conditioned to endure more pain versus less. But as far as the training for police, it's there was an initiative from the gangs back in 2007-8 to infiltrate the police force, because if you can pass a mental health test, physical conditioning, arms training, whatever, it's not hard to be law enforcement. I'm gonna say I have family and friends, they know. It's not that difficult. So it's really easy for someone that's not of good ethical value, background to infiltrate law enforcement, man, and really abuse the power. I mean, it's a thing. I mean, they do it all the time. It's been easy for gang members, just bad people, to join law enforcement.
So real quick, let me ask this question, right? Because I see where y'all are going with this. So how do y'all think we solve that problem?
I think, and I know some agencies need bodies, right? I've heard that before. But I think proper trainings, proper vetting systems, real background checks of police candidates, like real background check, like thorough, like social, all that kind of stuff. In my opinion, man, I mean, it has to get better. It has to get better.
I agree, and I think that costs more money, and that kind of goes against the defund the police narrative, doesn't it? I mean, I think so anyway.
Well, I've never been for defund the police entirely, right? I've never been for that because I do believe that more psych evaluations should happen in the beginning and during. I think there should be more support,
continuing education
for that, supporting these police officers. I believe that communities should be policing themselves. Before we shouldn't have to get police involved, because police are here to uphold the law. They're not here to take care of your kids or take care of you. They're here to uphold the law. So communities need to start policing themselves. If you see some kids getting out of control, y'all need to band together and get these kids together. These kids are running circles around these guys.
Well, but that's going to present a problem
because we're not allowed to say nothing to nobody else's kids.
Hello, well, nobody allowed to say nothing to nobody else's kids. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago with the bus driver.
Hey man, again. But but that needs to happen. These kids are having kids. They thinking they can just be friends with their kids. No, hey man.
I mean, it's because the family dynamic is broken down.
But so also, like, defund the police does not mean unfund the police. It just means
that's what I was. Yeah.
It just means pay them less for certain things. So, for instance, in Baltimore City, police officers, crooked ones, they would eat up overtime hours and get paid money. They would keep people, they would literally drive up to neighborhoods, apprehend folks, put it on the clock, and hold them on the curb for hours, get paid for that. So defunding means taking away some of the overtime hours, but not unfunding the department. So, like, police will still get paid. We still need them around. We all know that. But, like, not giving them the financial resources to do whatever the heck they want with the extra hours or with, unused resources.
And not just that, but like reallocating funding into like stuff like longer training, or like the ability to recognize conditions when they pull up, which again is a portion of training. I forget who it was, but like somebody was shot and killed that was a schizophrenic, or like there was something with them and they got shot by the police. Yep. But it was their mental like disease or whatever. That
just, person I know that got shot too.
Yeah, like they weren't even armed. They just were like wilding and got killed because the police officer didn't recognize what was happening. So like the reallocation of funds for better training to recognize things that you're walking into was what defunding was about. Defunding is just kind of that popular name, almost like Obamacare. They wanted to call it Obamacare so that if it tanked or failed, then they could blame it on him. But it was affordable health care.
Yep, exactly.
Like,
yep.
you put a name on it to make it problematic.
Yeah, the media says defund, and people think defund. That means forget, like, get rid of the police department. Like, no one's saying that, but they painted it that way, so you get the backlash. What's going to go against that initiative? So
there was a defund the police billboard like here in Baltimore. Like I seen that, Joe.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. But again, still the concept though.
Well, I personally, I agree with what y'all are saying. I've never heard it mentioned or broken down that way ever by anybody that was talking about defund the police. The including the people that support it or the people that are against it. I've never heard it broken down that way. That actually makes a little bit of sense. If we're talking about reallocating funds so that we can increase training, so that we can increase the standards of the police that are out here designed to protect and serve. And simultaneously, I also think we probably would have to, make the pay more competitive so that more people are interested in it. Kind of the same thing like having, more male teachers. Somebody was talking about that a while ago. Same thing there. There has to be enticing enough for salary wise for it to be worth it, for the job to be worth it. So I don't think defunding doesn't make sense at all, but I've never heard it said the way that y'all are talking about.
Because it's not a sexy sell for us to say it
to
say it our way,
right. But also but the thing is, and also and coming from the school system in Baltimore City, like if you go to like a city council meeting and you hear the motions, so the motions, and they usually follow Robert Rules of Order, the motions list out what the request is, right? And they define what actually people want to happen. And so in those, they usually list out what defunding means, what the results will be, and then who wants it, who doesn't want it. But for the media, they say defund. So, and they paint a picture. People think, oh, no more police. So they think, well, we need police. And we all know we need that. So they painted it the wrong way. But in the actual, the voting or the board meeting, with the council, they list out what this actually means. And a lot of folks just haven't been in those, So it's hard to know what that is.
Word, it's a lot to get into. We're gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back
real quick. Another thing I was thinking about, right, is my I go to Bridgeway Community Church, and Pastor Dr. Anderson, right, he speaks a lot about gracism, right, and basically that's extending that grace and that positivity towards someone else. Now, you look at it and say, well, cops, if they extend too much grace, that could be the end of their life, right? But I think when it comes to grace and it comes to that training, I think that's a part where they can be trained, to de-escalate a situation and not escalate, a situation. You show up to a scene, they need to be trained on who has the top authority. You show up to a scene and you got 5 cops yelling at you. You don't know whether to put your hands up, get on the ground, and you make the wrong move, and that's it. But I think that teaching racism, and not just with the cops, but with everybody. And I'll shoot you guys, a link to where to find it, because there's a book out. He has a book out on it. Gracism, man, it's if we can get to that point before we even get to the more serious events, I think that would also help change a lot of these situations that don't end well. So
absolutely,
that's all I want to add.
And I know I've been chiming in a lot. I want to give a plug to so one of my chapter brothers here, 2 of them, Del Marion, Janelle Marion. They have a company called Inclusive Cultural University, ICU, and what they do, they train police departments, they train school districts on how to handle those kind of situations, like with law enforcement, with behavior management, with inclusivity with the schools, with hiring and things like that. They're doing great things here in the area. But they're one of the few companies I know of that actually does that. And I think they'll be working with a couple of big organizations pretty soon that we know about in the sports world. So I want to just plug that real quick.
Good stuff. We're gonna have to come back to this. In the interest of time, we're gonna let that rock. Because we could go in on that one. There's a lot of layers to that. But put that in the notes, man. Defund the police. We're coming back to that. All right. We got time for one more. We're gonna have to table the rest of that too. We got time for one more. This kind of coincides with what we were talking about, and it's about the authors of conditioning. And it's about whether or not families are under attack. Are families under attack? We got a few minutes to get into it. Let's get the cups ready. We good? Glasses ready? One more for the road. Let's get to it.
And of course, when we say get your glasses ready, that just means whatever you got. If you're sipping on, the whiskey, the yak, or even just some water, is some juice,
water,
H2O, Gatorade, whatever it is, get your cup ready.
Our family's under attack.
Do what you do. We do it because we used to it. And I'm gonna leave it at that. If you know, you know.
Oh yeah. So Trey, did you mean are Black families under attack?
So,
or minority families?
Are all families, and then definitely minority families, and then definitely are Black families under attack. So we can start at the Black family if you want, and work our way through. I can't say up or down. We're just gonna work our way through. Because I think, honestly, if an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, then if the Black family is under attack, then the family is under attack. So, and vice versa.
When is MLK Day?
Next January.
Next year. We're in the warm season. In the warm season. But anyway, so yeah, is the family under attack? What do y'all think?
This is what I'll say. I'll say since the mid-1960s, it's been beneficial for families not to be unified. With public housing, food stamps, child support, different, I'm not going to say which group, different gender and equity movements. It's been beneficial for some families to not be together. So I think those families are under attack, and the procreation has been under attack. That's what I'll say.
Okay. All right.
Here's what I'll say. And it's just based on what I've seen. This is my personal opinion. I know we give a lot of fact-based, opinions, but this is my experience, right? This is what I've seen. I've seen, just our business structure here in America focus heavily on getting everyone back to work. And while I agree that, we do need a workforce, right? We do need a workforce. However, I do not agree that we need to get every single person back to work, because now you got the dad working, you got the mom working, and then you got the public system that is taking care of your kids if you cannot afford private school. And then what is that public education teaching your kids? Are they just, I mean, literally, like with this
Video
common
thing
core stuff,
nowadays.
like, I mean, are they teaching them a trade? Are they teaching them things that can, groom them into the things that they like and love to do, to help them be successful? Or are they just getting them ready for the farm? So I would say, yes, that families as a whole are under attack.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't have just, on average, right? You can't have a one person income and live, comfortably. You're always going to be scrapping and scraping. Um, so yeah, uh, is that, the corporation's fault, or where was the start
It
of it?
is.
I still gotta, I can
It
do my
is.
research on it, right? I gotta, because I want to figure this equation out, because I want to present something, that's better than what we as a whole in this economy are doing currently.
It is. No, it is. It is. I'm sorry, I don't mean to Bogart, but and I know I'm a guest today, but I'm going to just speak when I'm here. No, it is, because COVID happened. They're like, "Oh, you're remote now." So now we can be remote. For a year and a half, I was remote for a year, almost 2 years. So why can't we do this beforehand? Think about it. We work 8 hours. Our kids at daycare for let's say 8 hours too, right? That's 16. They come home, they're gonna get 8 hours of sleep. That's 24, right? 8 times 3, 24. So half of the day, well, two quarters, two-thirds of the day, we don't have them for our care, because they're asleep or at daycare, right? And we're working somewhere where we could be home. So when we don't have to, because COVID shows us we can work from home the
This
entire
was a meeting. This was an email, not a meeting.
right. I'll be at work. I don't talk. It's the person right next to me. We're chatting on here. I don't even see them in person for weeks at a time. Yeah.
Like I understand personal interaction and all of that, but we got to talk about what is functional. And in the end, I don't. I see where y'all going with this, and I got some video for context in a few, but I don't necessarily agree that everybody needs to be at work either. Like that kind of is what is contributing to the destruction of the family dynamic as a whole, right? Like I said, I'll get some video for that later. Q, talk to us. You've been quiet.
I mean, I do feel like it's under attack because actually, when you think about it, it's been like that for decades and generations. Like, I even remember not even understanding what a clear family dynamic was because I was always in the house with people who weren't my parents growing up. Something has to change because it's not going to be both parents working 8, 12, 16 hours a day, and you have kids at home wondering where's mommy and daddy, and you'll have kids being raised by grandparents, other relatives who probably shouldn't have the responsibility to, and it's going to be a trickle down problem where we have students in school practically being raised up by teachers because mom and dad can't afford to be in the situation to be active like they want to be in their children's lives, which is a sad situation for anybody all across the board. So something's definitely got to change in this dynamic.
That cost of living has affected everything tremendously.
Yeah.
One income used to be enough, even if it meant that like there wasn't a ton of play money. One income used to be enough. It's not now. I mean, everything's inflated. You can there's no such thing as a dollar menu anymore. The dollar menu is $1 and change. The dollar menu is now a value menu. So, like I ordered a 4 for $4 and ended up paying $6 for it. Like I'm trying to, like it's just hard, and as much as we want to be there, there's always something going on that pulls us away from the house. I mean, even like travel seems longer. Like you've got to drive 30-40 minutes to get to a desired location when those kind of necessities used to be 10-15 minutes away. We're developing houses, townhomes, and condos faster than we're developing, libraries and grocery stores. So like you really do have to lose a lot of your time doing the things that, used to be simple tasks. So I think the family is under attack in general. And coming from, so, I think I'm fortunate to have had the experience to teach in a predominantly white area. And one of the things I discovered there was that the family dynamic looks different across the board. And this is why, it kind of changed my perspective on Black things, that like literally the same issues that I thought were Black issues existed around these white families. You had fathers stepping out on mothers, leaving her in the house to deal with the kids all the time. Mothers who were the only ones that showed up to school functions. There was no help from the dad. Kids who got talked down to by their parents. You had rich white, you had poor white. Poor white people were looked at the same way that any class of Black people were, that they were less than because they were poor whites. So like I've seen tons of dynamics. So like I think families are under attack, and it's really just like, what are you exposed to understand like what that looks like?
So I got a question. What is a family?
I can give you a couple different answers because all of my blood ain't family. Like the people that I'm sitting here on this podcast with, y'all family. Because I know, what I'm saying, when it hits the fan, that I can call y'all, and y'all are always going to be there for me. So, I'll give you a couple of different answers. Everything is blood. Everything is blood ain't family. And, sometimes your family is people you never expected you would be coming in contact with, who have just always shown up for you.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. And Kev was politically correct. He's but I'm gonna just say it. I mean, I'm a guest on here, but I'm gonna say something controversial.
He can't get canceled. That's his way of saying he can't get canceled.
I'm gonna just say
his way of saying, "Hey, nice podcast, guys. Yeah, you guys are gonna be canceled soon.
Don't have Steve ever come back. I'm okay with that. I'm gonna just say,
no, you got to come back, bro.
There's no other. Unfortunately, there's no other ethnicity other than the African American ethnicity, that says they don't need a Black man. You'll never hear white women say it. You never heard an Asian woman say it. You never hear African women say it. You never hear Arab. You never heard any ethnicity. Unfortunately, man, like I said in the 60s, man, unfortunately, it's been beneficial for Black women to not unify with Black men and with families.
That's a perfect segue. So let me share this with everybody real quick, as I just came across my feed not too long ago. Let's take a honest look and listen at this.
Black women shouldn't have to feel obligated to smile to Black men. We're holding a lot of trauma. We're holding a lot of problems, mental health issues.
Hold on. How old are you?
24.
Oh, we buffering. That's right.
I'm gonna say this one more time. You to pay attention. I need all Black women to pay attention. The world does not owe you understanding. If you have all this trauma, go seek professional help, because the rest of us do not have to suffer you. How do Black women tend to deal with their mental health issues? With a licensed clinician or with Jesus?
That is what's pushed to us since
from
the age that we are little.
No, ma'am.
That's something we grow up
I asked who. I'm not going to play the lily pad game. Did they go to a clinician or did they go to the church?
The church most often.
All right. Most of these women are educated and they've heard about therapy. They make the choice not to go.
I'm not saying we should have a special victim status, but our circumstance is different. We are women.
Is your
we are less
you're 24 years old. Is your circumstance harder or easier than your grandmother and your great grandmother?
Exponentially easier. We have access to information we didn't have.
Exponentially easier, but you're handling it worse. Your grandmother, your great grandmother actually could work with a black man with more trauma.
They understood that the black woman and the black man are on the same side. Now that we're all free and independent and we could do whatever we want to, why would we seek to, be one with the black man? We
all right. That last part right there.
And so I just want to finish my point. So you can look at like the white woman, right? For centuries, they've known who their grandmother was, what their place was in the family, their great grandmother, their great, they know that. I think being that, we were brought over here against our will, and we were bonded, we were together during slavery and up until after slavery. But then there's a dynamic that came about in the 60s, in my opinion. I think it's fact. As far as
that's the actual fact.
The benefit of not being with the black man, the support you'll get, shutting down certain trades because we weren't educated enough, or we came back from war where we couldn't necessarily provide a high income level compared to our other racial counterparts. So that was a thing. And then coming to the 80s and 90s, well, the 80s, I'm gonna skip the decade because I can go to that, but like the 90s, 2000s, where it's enticing for, our people, our women to feel like they may not need us. You do this on your own, that's fine. But like other races and ethnicities and families are thriving, progressing because they know like this isn't an option. Like we need our man. That's what they're saying. But we're the only ones. So there is a divide. There is an attack. To answer your question, in my opinion.
And I also think beyond the, I guess like husband-wife relationship or like the, the romantic relationship part is how we deal with our kids. We're like, even for me, and I won't say my mother pushed it on me, but it's how I felt coming out of the house. Like once I hit 18, it was like, all right, you go off to college and you don't come back home. So like I, did everything in my power to like move into a place, and I had roommates, but we were still like living check to check. Whereas I think with, like every other household, the kids, particularly after college, like you move back home. If you had debt, you pay off your debt, and then you save up your money before you leave the house so that you're established when you go out. Or for us, it's always I got to get it out the mud. I got to, start from the bottom to get here, prove myself. So we miss opportunities to clear debt, opportunities to save money, opportunities to do the things that will put us like in a better financial like place to be on our own, because we're constantly trying to prove ourselves.
100%. And it's like, because like it's the same thing as far as like how like black folks want to like live out of our means to prove that like we've made it, because we've always kind of had a disadvantage. So it's like, all right, I can do this now, I can do that, but like we're not ready, so it's a thing where like we're pushed out there to be over ambitious and overachieve, but like we're not ready yet. We can't do it yet. But like we want to show that we can suffice or make up for our 200-300 years of bondage, to be on the same level as our other race counterparts.
Rich,
I have a lot of thoughts on that. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, man. So my wife and I were talking earlier, and we were talking about how, you know, there's just in the culture, there's just a lot of, you know, I'm self-made. This, you got to be self-made. You know, I'm a self-made millionaire. I'm a self-made billionaire. It's me, 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 me. So it's a lot of just selfishness and individualism going on. You know, the whole crabs in the barrel mentality, right? And you know what's being promoted through the culture. You know, you know, where have the shows gone that show the you know, that family culture, that community culture? And so, you know, we were even talking about how, you know, you have these women out here that are just so boss bees, right? I'm a boss bee. I'm an independent, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm a survivor, I'm independent, you know, all these, you know, independent, this, that, and the third, right? But then every time you turn around, there's a cry for why are black men protecting the black women? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And I kind of mentioned this in a couple of shows, right? It's like you want to be so okay. So we got a family, right? I got a family, right? My family is my responsibility. They are up underneath my covering, right? Now, if I had a daughter and that daughter wants to then go out there and be all independent and do all of that stuff, right? She is going up from underneath my covering and out into this world to do her own thing, to be independent, right? So you listen, I know it's my daughter. But you're going to expect me to be able to protect you when you have vocally and expressed your independence and you want to go out into the world. How Shway? How am I supposed to protect you with you going from up underneath my covering? And that goes for the women. They're talking about independence, being the same, or you know, right? But if you not underneath this covering, how are you supposed to get this protection? And so if you want to be the same, right? You want to be at the same level. How then are you expecting, you know, the black man, right, to to then provide certain things for you when you're saying you don't need us to provide for you, right? So I think that type of thinking is also detrimental to tie that into, you know, what's you know, causing this rift in the family, right? I think that's also a part of it. And I'm not just singling them out because, you know, there are, you know, men who step away from the family, period. But I'm just saying we also have to look at, you know, that aspect of things.
Yeah. Like I had a conversation with my wife, and I had to explain and let her know, like, listen, like, okay, well, aside from that, no man says I need a woman that has a master's. No man says that because we don't benefit from that, right? If all of our wives or girlfriends got raises tomorrow, that doesn't help us. So how much they earn, what they provide financially doesn't affect us, right? So we know it's our opportunity, it's our job to provide and to provide a level really mainly of security, assurance, and leadership. Because financial wise, like it what they bring, we know is always going to be on us, right? We go to dinner, we know we got to pay. You know, they may pay for, you know, for dinner once in a while, but like if they level up, it doesn't really help us, maybe, you know, other than bills. But so I had to shine that light saying, hey, listen, I'm here to provide you with, you know, like leadership, this is that and that, but like you getting a great job, that's awesome, but like I have one too. So, you know, it's not really a financial thing.
All right. Q, did you speak up on this? You did, I think. Did you speak up on this? I might be tripping.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Let me touch on a couple things in again in the interest of time because we're gonna have to shut this down pretty soon. All right. Um, one thing, Rich, you said about the protection of being in the protection or us having protection of black women rather. These are the types of things that happen when you step out of alignment. And much like how if we step out of alignment with God, certain things happen to us. If they step out of alignment with us, certain things happen to them. It's kind of this, same type of dynamic in that regard, right? And that's how because that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's designed. God, man, woman, kids. That's how it's designed. It's how it's supposed to be, right? Don't take that up with me. It's in the Bible. Don't get mad at me. All right. um, but so that's that. But that said, we are the only. Back to what Steve said. We are the only uh, group that I'm aware of, anyway, that has conditioned our women to be in competition with our men. To really the young lady said it, and that's why I wanted to play that specific video because it wasn't about what Kevin Samuel said or any of that stuff. It was about what she said. What she said is what a lot of them think, and that is that now that they can go get the bag on their own, they don't need us, which means that they would step out of alignment, which means that you know there are circumstances with stepping out of alignment, right? This is not to say that women, black women, any women should not work or any of that. Hey, listen, do you. But understand, back to your point, Steve, understand that that's not something that men have as a make or break, generally speaking, that we have as a make or break in whether or not, you're going to be the type of woman we want to spend our time with, we want to marry. You're not, those things are great additives, but that's the icing on the cake. That's not the cake. We care about the cake. We care about the cake. That's icing.
Hello.
That'd be the cherry on top. We care about the cake, right? Um, so there's that, right? But we also we reject a lot of things that are within the family dynamic too. We reject quote unquote gender roles. We reject that. We reject there being any authority in the home that comes from a man. Generally speaking, we reject that. Men almost have to walk on eggshells in their own homes to talk about things that need to happen in their house. And that's a problem, right? So, really, if you think about it, if you break down the black community, you break down the black family, or vice versa. If you break down the black family, you break down the black community. And here we have 30 years ago, 40 years ago, only 25% of black babies were born out of wedlock. And you fast forward to today, and 75, almost 80% of babies born nowadays are born out of wedlock, right? That just something shifted somewhere in that. And we're just talking about black babies. I know you're talking about, the others. Just talking about us. We tripled that dynamic. So whatever happened, we bought into it hook, line, and sinker. And that, I think, is where the problem is. So like I said earlier, if you destroy the black family or you attack the black family, you are attacking the family because we are what the family embodies. We have shown many times the strength of our community when we are a community. When we different family dynamics is something else. Kev, you mentioned that's another thing. Different family dynamics. That's why I said, what is a family, right? What is family in the first place, right? It's a mom, dad, and kids, right? Different family dynamics are, I guess, permissible. It happens, but the family dynamic is husband, wife, kids, mom, dad, kids. That's what you know the correct dynamic is. Does not mean that you can't work the other way. Sure, okay. Like you can use the back end of a screwdriver as a hammer, but it's not a hammer. Right? You can use it as that, but it's not one. You can use the other end of a hammer as a screwdriver, but it's not a screwdriver. It's a hammer. That's what I'm saying. So go ahead, Steve. I see you. My bad.
This is my last thing. I promise. This is my last thing. I've been talking a whole lot.
This is what we do, man.
There's something that bothers me, right? So with the Black family, and I just spoke on how, unfortunately, our people are uncooperative, right? So I look at the new anti-abortion laws, and we have a problem with someone telling us what we can't do. So with the laws telling us we can't have abortions, we want to fight against that, but fighting against that is a battle against our procreation as a people.
And fighting against something like that is rebellion. Like fighting against someone telling you what's right and what's wrong is rebellion, I believe, by definition.
Yeah. But hey, you can't do this. And we're like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm gonna do the opposite. No. Black folks, let's have babies. Let's procreate.
We don't have enough time.
Yeah.
We don't have enough time.
That would require people to take responsibility for the actions.
Yeah, that's true.
That they are doing.
But my thing is, I don't, and I think we're all pretty well versed in social media. I don't see any other races really. I mean, you may see a feminist movement fighting against it, but like I don't see other ethnicities fighting against this procreation agenda. Like no one's mad about it except for our people.
Well, no. So, and that's why I say we don't have enough time, because I would 100% be on board with this if I did not live in an area where I watched this exact thing happen all the time. And I think, the statistics are going to be skewed, because like I watched white people get pregnant at 13, 14, 15, 16. And what happens is then their parents thrust them into a shotgun wedding. Shotgun wedding doesn't, yes, the child is not born out of wedlock, so it fits their statistic, but it doesn't mean that that's the healthiest thing for the family. So then you run into kids, and I'll call them kids because, again, 15, 16, 17, hell, even 18, 19, 20, who are married too young. So they've basically given up their time to like just explore and find out about themselves, and they're inside of these marriages. So like the husbands are abusive early, or like demonstrative early. Like there's so much stuff that exists in the white community. It's just, again, proximity, just kind of the way they cultured us with black on black crime. It's black crime because it's nothing but black people around, but we don't call it white on white crime when it's nothing but white people around killing each other.
But you just said how they'll be born shotgun, but they're born. So, but the black ones aren't. So there's a numbers game.
That's why I said not enough time, because that's just the beginning.
Okay.
Those kids are the prom night dumpster babies that Family Guy sings about. They are the back alley abortions that happen in Mexico. They are the kids that are dumped outside of hospitals, dropped off at fire stations. Like that's what happens in a white family. So like it looks different. It's not our immediate community. So we're not privy to those kinds of things because we're just not sitting exposed to it. But it's literally happening just like that. And the wildest part is the parents are like watching the boyfriend come in the house and go straight to the daughter's bedroom, and they're cool with it because they want to be friends with their kids. Where do we see that? Black parents who are young and want to be friends with their kids, so they allow stuff that we would never see. It's literally the same thing in a white family. Like, because I was literally looking at my neighbors like, why would you let your daughter's boyfriend just be in the room? They got the door closed. Like, y'all not disturbed by that? I'm disturbed by that. That's my student. I teach them. So like, I'll smack a boy just for like, walking too close to them in the hallway, and y'all letting them be in the bedroom. It looks the exact same way. It's not a part of our culture because we're in predominantly black areas.
So is it fair to then say that it's just the black family under attack?
I don't think it is.
I wouldn't say just, but there is one. Like, because Kev, you gave a great example, and you know how we do. You know how we do have higher standards, but we don't necessarily. We have certain standards as far as a family dynamic and like who like, and I say we, I mean like the women, like what they want to be with, the family dynamic. But like you listen how the white families, how they'll still give birth, have a broken home, this and that, but like we're more quicker to abort, to not have one because we're not ready and this is that and that. But it's still, the numbers are still at a disadvantage when we do that. It's not conducive, but it's still less of us because of that concept, which really happens. I mean, it really happens that way, like you said.
Yeah, no, and I understand that there are some parts of that are legitimate. I guess, then playing the devil's advocate, the question is, okay, so you get pregnant, you have a baby. You get pregnant, you have a baby. You get pregnant, you have a baby. Now you can't afford all of these babies that you have. Like, and of course, if you can't afford, like the simple thing is, if you can't afford it, don't have sex. Don't have unprotected sex. Don't immediately go get your plan B. Like, because again, there are a million things to that. People who protect themselves still get pregnant. People who get a plan B it still might not be effective, even if you take it as soon as humanly possible. There's so many things that go into it. So like the right answers ain't always
game strong.
You know what I'm saying? It's just not. It's not all like there's not one solution to every. You know what I'm saying? Every scenario. So like,
sure, but the only one solution is to not have unprotected sex. That is literally the only one solution, and that goes back. Unless you're married,
I'm joking, but
Yeah, no, for real. Like that literally is the only. If there was one solution to the problem, it would be don't have sex until you're married, or don't have unprotected sex, especially until you're married. Like that's the only one thing. But it goes back to the rebellion. You ain't nobody going, my body, my choice, all that good stuff. You ain't nobody gonna tell you what you can and can't do. Okay, cool. Well, if that's the case, then you are free to do what you want, technically speaking, but that does not create freedom of consequence. There are consequences for our actions or inaction, right? So we're gonna have to table that. We're gonna have to table that. We got notes on this. We got a couple things we got to come back to next week.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Great conversation. Y'all, we talk every day anyway, so y'all know how I feel about everything. So I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It's been great. Good talk. Hope I didn't rub some folks the wrong way.
Maybe you should get them thinking. Get the people going.
I'll be honest, man. We kind of have to, because otherwise we're just settling for status quo. So I think it's okay to kind of play that devil's advocate, character in a sense, because that's the only way the conversation moves forward.
We gotta
have contrasting ideas.
True.
In order to progress the conversation. So I welcome that. I welcome the people that would say, Trey, you're absolutely wrong, and here's why. I welcome that, and I'm sure the rest of y'all feel the same way.
I don't represent the thoughts or opinions of Up to It Down to It podcast. I'm an independent person. My name is Stephen White. I'm solely on my own. There we go. You guys are good. You're good now.
There we go. He acted on his own. We did not hold a shot to his head.
We shot for cancellation before we even dropped your intro music. So,
listen, I'm telling you, one of these days I'm going to say ladies and gentlemen, and that's going to be it.
You'll be in trouble then.
And we're going to be in big trouble then, especially if the agenda continues to do what they're doing, which we will table that. We're going to come back to that next week. You're not going to want to miss that one. Not going to want to miss that one. We got some things that we'll just keep calling it the agenda. The agenda is teaching to the teachers to teach to the kids. I'm going to leave it at that. Steve, it's good to have you on again, man. We definitely got to do this again. Got to have this one more time, man, for sure.
I'll be back at some point. I will be back at some point. So I'll see y'all soon.
Bet that. Hey, guys, again, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Find out every time we go live.
Check us
We're gonna be
out.
making some moves. Check us out, man. We added some more things to the channel as we speak, as we move, as we grow. So we
Yes,
still
indeed. Yes,
still new,
indeed.
but we making moves though.
And before you go, I just want y'all to know, all right, next week we got something special for you. All right, the bruh's gonna be live in person. So we're
In the building.
We're gonna be in the building. The bruhs are in the building Wednesday,
Real
the
ethnic.
25th. And we're gonna click it off at 9 o'clock. All right. Showtime is at 9 o'clock. So we're gonna post some things so as reminders and whatnot. We're gonna send out, you know, some social media blasts and text messages and whatnot. So just be prepared. And then also, I don't know, should I tell them now? Or we should save this for
let's
Save a
table
little
that.
something. Save a little something.
Yeah, let's table
Yeah.
that.
All right, let's table that. We're gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave it right there. It's
More
on the
stuff
table
coming.
right there. Yeah.
More stuff coming. Be on the lookout. Once again, thank y'all for riding with us. We are out of here. Steve, thanks again, fam. Bruhs, I'm going to see
Thank you.
y'all. We out
LB, always a pleasure.
all day. Peace.